I ring this bell because the harmonic vibrations are thought to be able to clear the room. And in clearing the room, they also open our ears. And so, through the miracle of the internet, I'm sending you all some harmonic vibrations so that you can give your words wings. To rock somehow in the temperature of wind, or do the balmy thing, the acrobat, or from a withered teaspoon taste the day. I mean, some goat, I think, is gnawing at my testicles. I hesitate. On behalf of Great Weather for Media, I want to welcome you to the beginning of our 10th anniversary year celebration. And what better way to celebrate 10 years, but then to bring on for a curtain call our contributors from our 10 years of anthologies. And we started off today with our very first book. It's Animal but Merciful. Because what does it say right up here on this remarkable cover from the first anthology? But her glory always reinstated. So that's what we're doing. I started the reading today with a short poem from the anthology written by Jay Chalik, our friend and mentor and inspiration to us for many years, who passed away this past year. And so we wanted to make sure and acknowledge him. But yesterday, we, those of us in the community here in New York, received the shocking news of the passing of another contributor to our book, and that was Ted Jonathan. So before we start, I'd like to ask everybody to just take a quiet moment. And while you're being quiet, maybe you can send out the vibrations to the people that love him and are maybe struggling with that news. Thank you. So now we're going to start our reading with readers from all over the globe. We got it covered pretty good. And I'd like to ask my colleague at Great Weather for Media, Thomas Fucaloro, to introduce our first reader. Thomas?
All right. Our first reader is Christopher Luna.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Every year, Great Weather for Media does these tours. I'm really missing the tours. They've been really kind to include me in some of those tours. I'm going to just take a second to turn off that very bright light. Thank you. I'm really proud to have been in a few of these books. I love the friends that I've made from the tours, and I hope that we can reinstate those at some point in the very near future. And I just want to say thank you to everybody at Great Weather for Media for including me and some other amazing writers in these beautiful books that they put out. And speaking of that, a good friend of mine who's been in the books and also whereas when they come to Portland is Dan Raphael. He's a first person I really consider a mentor, someone that showed me and shows us how it's done. So I thought that I would read Dan's poem from the book as a way to start. His poem in It's Animal but Merciful is called Walking Downtown after performing Song of Myself. As the battery-amped blues woman keens string bends and sorrow to the $40 salmon eaters, I swerve through the junctions of revolving doors and happy hour. The sky exerts more pressure when it has less space to fall on. These buildings Teflon, no one's inside but janitorial T-cells, dispersing the day's resistance. Someone broke into my car and left a better stereo and an eighth of bud. Sequential hazard lights pulling me to safety on various grids, sexual, athletic, financial. Placing beads on the sky to sprout time transit, memory creation, something that'll explode next September. The best pizza I'll never finish. Everything melting at different temperatures, defining their own coherence and flow. Something never left or forever regretted, like mistaking the gas pedal for the brake. Tipping a salt shaker whose lid's been loosened, a friendship based on butter. If everyone on the outside is brought in, what about the claustrophobics? Moon's always full somewhere on one of the many concentrics, inside the inside, a thick weave engulfing two multimuscular bodies who cross, fuse, and ventilate. As we're each part of sin, a zit-clogged pore, a hair growing out of, a flake ready to slide free and begin a new accumulation of experience. When I see coyotes and raccoons prowling downtown, am I hallucinating? Or the future, as the trees open like lilies with anthers as big as my head, the schools are closed because of the pollen, traffic snarled, bees too rich to fly. So that's Dan Raphael from It's Animal But Merciful. I'm standing because there's a lot of things that are weird about doing poetry readings on Zoom. One is the deafening silence after each poem. So if it's allowed and anybody feels like making noise, please go ahead and make noise. I'm giving you permission, at least for my piece of it anyway, if you'd like. Here's another annoying thing about poetry readings on Zoom is when your internet connection is interrupted while you're trying to do a featured reading. I'm going to share my screen now to read a poem that is not in any of the anthologies, but a poem that I think that you'll enjoy. I hope so. This is something that I wrote. I'm very inspired by jazz and by live music, which is another thing that I'm missing during the pandemic. And this is about a show that I saw in Portland. As you can see here, David Ornette, Cherry and Friends, a release party for an album called Eternal Monologue, Remain Close to the Great Spirit. And this is my my portrait of him from that night. In order to sport the beige like a professional, one must first release the valve, preventing true heart goodness from pouring through. Lay all imposed aside, leave all convoluted philosophies behind. There is a sound unique to each free, enough to listen to heart's eternal monologue and jettison the rest. Who's left an imprint, imposed a stale old story on you? What compelled you to pick it up? Throw the mantle over your shoulder like you invented it. Going through the tunnel, the first story, straining to be heard over peripheral nonsense. This is my spirit flute. Follow the woodpecker to the cedar tree, waiting for three, only one. Every man in the village learned to play the flute. Despite Devin's love for the Wu-Tang Clan, he wanted to talk about you without swearing. In the middle of the monologue, he felt a breeze run through his chest, felt the keen, split that shit open, quick, singular shift, necessary and swift, paradigm switch, fast and rich, perfect resolution. Bear down and perpetuate the adventure initiated by your father, inevitably bittersweet, never complete. Not doing it with anyone particular on the regular. Weak links sometimes become essential factors. Lame walk, mute speak, because it just must be. Fall into a sweet groove, no need to be anywhere else. Take that ride, don't fight it, don't question, don't hide your elation. Just let it override all. Feel that tension subside as you give yourself over. Higher heights, climb, descend, sigh, rise. We're going to end with this one little thing. Second set. David runs the voodoo down, nod and sway, smile wide and wave, light emanating from each fingertip, forms a circuit with the four of each head. Hip to the energy created by this, taking it back to next year. Full frontal assault on inner ear. Don't mean to hurt you, baby. Expect you'll go down easy. Cut right through. A little monk couldn't hurt. Carlton Jackson reads MLK's address to the 64 Berlin Jazz Festival. This is triumphant music. Precision, contentedness, fulfillment, expression, Naima. And I would just like to finish up with my poem from the anthology. And that is a collage poem, including dialogue from the third man. Henry Miller is in here, Steven Spielberg in conversation with Andy Warhol, dialogue from the film Poetry, great film, and Kanye West is also in here somewhere. This is called The Gleaner and I. The soprano was a computer, nothing but a cute little ruin. He never grew up. The world grew up around him. His old man was a nihilist, a real perv, tried to balance the streaks, nurtured it like a serpent to his breast. Didn't understand why I swallowed the transistor. I do like flowers and say odd things. I think it was everyone's opinion that this was a mistake that can be stopped and turned around. The world grew up around him and buried him. Tomorrow, the discomfort index will be quite high. Some real Daniel Day-Lewis type of shit. Now you will be writing a poem for the first time in your life. Like flowers and say odd things. Live your life like a line of poetry written with a splash of blood. A world of pure potential. Thank you. So happy to be here with all of you today.
Let's hear it for Christopher Luna.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so that was Chris up in the Pacific Northwest, and now we're going to swing to the Great White North of Canada and hear from Sarah Jean Krahn. Take yourself off mute, Sarah.
Hello, greetings from Canada. Thanks so much for having me. I will start with my piece from It's Animal But Merciful. Qubits. 1 eon. 8 egg. Tit. Tie height. Tight teeth hit thigh. 27 tense eves. We so tense. Yet even new tenants net teens testes. Envy stews, TV news, events test yen. We see, we bent. Entantes sweeten wet eyes. 64. Sort story to fit. First soir, rosy surf. Fruity frosty suitor, voice sour fury to ruts. Tofu rusts foxy suit, your fox fur tux, riot toy. Our rift ousts you, stirs usury sought of sty. I, your turf, tour your torso, soft fort. Itsy fist sifts root, roosts soot. If it is us, trios sit out. You, I, fix it, fix us, you try. Thanks. And now I will read a poem from my new book, just came out this month, A Girl Who Was His House. And you can see my cover art in the background. I spent probably almost as much time on as the poems. The impersonal is poklitical. Let's get the name calling out of the way first. The Virgin Queen, independent, feminist, clitorati, female utility. Imagine trying to explain to someone what it feels like to sneeze or yawn, or to hear the screams of someone having her head hacked off. With the help of a razor or knife, many girls die throughout their whole lives. It is not the book that cuts the clitoris, but its interpretations aid and abet the mutilation. Clitoris, not a must. Thank God. Apparently, the long tyranny of the clitoris is coming to its end, dearest. If you ask me if you want sex as a mechanical act, you want to put on a clitoris. For a while there, we were moving toward a period of ubiquitous cyborg phrenology. Oh, honey, I feel your frustration. My clitoris couldn't find herself if she ate, prayed, loved. The manual, a dense 200 plus pages of instruction with some clear line drawings to illustrate. Origins and erogenous zones. Your eyes, their pleasure. Doctor's orders. You will find yourself thinking, so that's where they come from. This book is now available for the first time on DVD and Blu-ray. Bigger, longer, and uncut. Runaway beaver cut off at pass. Man fractures arms. Not winning when it comes to detached lower lips? Dual use items such as the labia, minora, / majora can be used to manufacture arms for military catch and release tactics. Cotton swabs, rubber gloves, and scopes of various sizes. Please note, clitoridectomy requires the removal of the entire region. Me. However, if you enjoy it, you are going to heck. Out of the bush and back to the American cities. The next patient will require general anesthesia and a fishhook. Imagine the woman's quiet desperation, the capsule, and project into the spaces. Noise! Then on the floor of the dusty closet, they stitch both sides of the organ back together, just as God's intended. Clitoris, widely known before man's discovery, still is often omitted on anatomical diagrams given students, such as female neonates with nothing better to do. So, excite. Warning, clitoral simulation may pro-life rate genexic earth defects. A clitoris, causatively stolen, then excise. Choice between thousands of nervous endings means old wives' tales about to be published. Concealed. The conflict has left many internally displaced. Visible. She taught me to use this vibrator in carjackings. Biopunk. Cultural relativism fails to justify my pleasure. I should be kissed. Cultish. And kissed often. Kittenesque. Ring the doorbell and wait for me to open the door. A species of meat art? I am an exorcism. Sex. Weird shit. Women's passionate love affairs with the clitoris outrage the blades of razors or knives. Thank you for listening.
All right, let's hear it for Sarah Jean Krahn. Wow, that was powerful. Thank you so much. And I just want to say, it's amazing to see everyone here. This was the first thing we put out. It was just myself, George, and Jane, and it just brings back so many memories. And I think about Brant Lyon. We're remembering a lot today. We're remembering old poems, and he was someone who was very just a big part of what Great Weather for Media is. So instead of a moment of silence for Brant, I'd like to do a moment of noise. You can either unmute yourself or not, but just on the count of 3 for Brant, just some sort of noise, just to send his way, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all for sharing in that moment of noise. Next, we are going to Long Island, and we have Deborah Hauser.
Thank you. Coming to you from Babylon, Long Island, I want to thank you, Thomas, David, Jane. I fondly remember Brant, everyone at Great Weather, all the other readers here, everyone presumably out there listening somewhere. I'll open with the poem from the book, which is on page 85. Figuratively speaking, the proverbial cat has got my tongue again. I can only speak in metaphors, most of them cliched. To decode, spin the dictionary and move your token 7 verbs forward. It left a welt on my forehead. I deserve this because I have been too forward. Not having read the forward, I was unfamiliar with the rules of the game. The foreplay presentation was a drag. I forswear drinking blank on the first date ever again. Blackouts are not ladylike. Am I telling too much? Strike that match. Let me show you what I mean instead. I don't know PowerPoint, but I can simulate a fraught simile. Flip through the alphabet, insert random numerals to create anyway. You already have your mind set on a particular perversion of events. Everything I tell you now will only verify the script you wrote me into. Truth is not a finite number. Plant this semaphore in your window box and watch it release noble radium. Yeah, I saved the canary from the coal mine, and then I swallowed her. I'm grinning like the Cheshire Cat right now as I write this. Oh, Alice called. She asked me to relay this message. She's had her cake and eaten it too, and she's never coming back from Wonderland. This next one is for Christine Blasey Ford et al., which is Latin for too many others to list. Why she didn't report it. Because it was her father, uncle, husband, brother, boyfriend, coach, boss. Because it happened in her own home. Because they already knew and pretended not to. Because she was scared. Because she needed him. Because she thought no one else would ever love her. Because maybe it wouldn't happen again. Because he was sorry. Because he was drinking. Because she was drinking. Because she was because she was nobody. Because she needed the job. Because she was 5 years old. Because she wasn't a virgin. Because fraternities. Because she couldn't afford the cost to process her own rape kit. Because there was no visible wound. Because she knows how this goes. Because she didn't want to stand trial. Because she has learned to become invisible. because she did. No one listened. Because he cut out her tongue, because he threatened to kill her, because he was a doctor, teacher, judge, priest, fine, upstanding citizen, because she doesn't want to relive it, because she doesn't owe you an explanation, because she wants to move on, because she thinks she's okay, because she still has those dreams, because when she opens her mouth to scream, no sound comes out, because shame and rage hold her together, because I might disintegrate. Thank you.
Deborah Hauser.
The next one, the title is from a Van Halen song, All Flavors and Push-Ups Too. That summer, the heat was palpable and we wanted to burn. We lit matches and passed our fingers through the flame. We were starting to realize that the pool was for babies. Fueled by high C and pixie sticks, we cartwheeled down the street, spun ourselves until we collapsed on the lawn, dizzy and weak. I imagined this is what love would feel like when David Lee Roth picked me out of the audience and rescued me. But our real idols were the girls who hung out on the corner and took the train to the city. They swaggered in denim cutoffs and tube tops. Their cherry lips left stains on their cigarette butts and beer cans. Their tongues Twizzler red like the Rolling Stones logo. Jessica swore she saw one of them French a boy under the bleachers. Forbidden lip gloss, we sucked and bit our lips like the women in the waterlogged Harlequin paperback we passed back and forth. In Laura's basement, we put pool balls in our training bras and practiced cocking our hips like the cool girls. Studied how they flipped their feathered hair and looked down at us from kohl-rimmed eyes. All flavors and push-ups too, we sang along to a portable radio. One afternoon, the prettiest one, Melissa, lifted her chin ever so slightly in my direction, as if to say, "Hey kid, you're all right." It felt like the time a downed power line sprayed sparks on the sidewalk in front of Cheryl's house, and we took turns getting as close to it as we dared. And I'll close with this one, which was written prior to COVID, but has a lot of viruses in it and describes how I feel about 2020. Undead poem for the zombie apocalypse. Zinc is supposed to shorten the duration of the common cold. Do not take aspirin if you're infected with chickenpox or the herpes zoster virus. If you're ablaze with fever, add Zika virus to the roster. Zipper yourself into quarantine. Button up if you're Amish. Zeus was a lazy lover. Who can resist a swan song? Erogenous zones cannot be mapped. My zenith was a television. I admit to being underzealous. To whom do I resign my zip code? Z boson particle theory is not accessible to me. Xanax does not start with a Z. I take the generic, alprazolam. A Zen cone for the motherless. You must first empty your womb. The zookeeper's wife is always to blame. Cauterization is just a euphemism for burn it down.
Let's hear it for Deborah Hauser. Thank you, Deborah. And now we reach across the ocean to hear from all the way from Denmark. It's Claus Ankersen.
Hello, thank you. Great to be here again. It's been a lifetime. The piece that I have, my contribution in the anthology is a longer poem called Dancer. It's pretty surrealist. So I will I'm sort of split between reading that or reading two newer sort of Corona pieces. I don't really know what to do here. When I look at this Dancer poem, it's inspired. It's for Pina Bausch, really. So I can read that, or I can read two shorter, newer poems. I don't know. What do you think?
Both.
Unfair question.
Both.
Okay. I will take the one. I will read the one from the anthology, honoring the tour and the efforts and everything that went there. It's called Dancer. A poster of a woman, eyes closed, on a wall in front of a passing train at nightfall. In the background, a stage. The woman is smoking a cigarette. She's alone on the stage, naked, but for an accordion she plays. Everything is in German. Around here, it is good for a lot of people that an actor does not have to be smart as long as she can remember the lines. The goddess lies on a red towel. She is dead or lovesick, wriggling, mourning the death of her red towel. Her newborn son falls to the floor. More women gather to look at the dead towel, all tits and vulvas and long hair. This is not literature, a voice goes. This is not poetry. You are not human, I answer. You are not human. When you are speechless, the world opens. First, you stand on your toes, then flap your arms, take off. This is how you fly. A tribe of 12 men join the women, naked torsos and long black pants. To the sound of the flutes, feathered wings sprout from their backs. A small pack of women separates from the group. Hunt down one of the feathered men, rape him before they rip his wings off and drink his blood. They drink the blood of angels or men. With my pen, I pry open the gates of heaven and let the light in. The woman in red turns into an ape. A man stands behind her, an angel and an ape in a red dress on the ground sand, like a circus without sawdust. The monkey cries, the red dress is her dead son. You just have to get crazier and crazier and crazier, the voice states. It's all about pairing opposites, marrying complementarity. Put a man on a field and a hat, the hat on a woman in a tango dress, singing a love song about a man in a blue suit. But I'm no dancer, sings the fool on the tightrope and dances up, up, up. Don't try to understand. Let it go. Then you will see. Maybe. This is why the scribe carries a notepad. And this is why some people build tiny ships to sail in bottles on paper waves. Let it go, the koan sings, and it will fly down and sit in your hand. Brunette brides in white dresses fall to the ground as the flute wails. The fool watches from his tightrope the dead brides rising to kiss their loved ones. The fool and the couple dance. Since they're dead, the only thing they can do is to hold on to each other like lovesick dogs. The fool separates them faster and faster. Did you know the kiss stops time and makes you disappear into the limitless zero of creation, be form? Someday, an alien will read this poem. A monkey in a suit will play the violin and everybody will cry. The fool will dance on his tightrope and the fat lady will sing. The bride too has been dancing. She has danced her breasts away, given her essence to the air swirling around her, to the sky looking and the earth listening. Watch out for the fan. It'll take your head clean off, the maitre d' warns us. The woman in red shakes her head. Then her entire body, her dress comes off and the monkey disappears, naked. She sits by a stone table in a lake, speaking perfect French. What does this mean? It is just life, nothing but. How can it be? You don't have to stand on your toes to be a real ballerina, but every ballerina can stand on her toes. What do you mean you want to inspire me to inspire you? This is page 10. You inspire me, but we can share. I'll let you borrow my paper bunny ears so we can pillow fight on the tram, speeding through Prague or towards Alcatraz, while I speak Russian like an old staircase and the audience is dancing on the balcony of my oaky forehead. It's hot in here. Watch the fan. With this suit on, you look like David Bowie or a gay Frenchman. How can I say this? What do I mean? It looks like this. How else would it look? There's something about long gowns that makes women touch their crutch when asked to express their feelings. Perhaps the inner being recognizes its center in the whole of creation, the walls of limitation. It is only this because it is not that. The red dress is back, but on a different girl. She's blonde now with a grin like a kind horse. Look, she swirls. Look at them dancing by the pool. Its water silver in the moonlight. Their limbs alchemical letters carving night from nothing. There is no sound as they hit the water because no one listens. And the bald man will never tell. His tongue cut outstretched before he was born to test eternity's ability to excel on the cello. As they swim in the pool, not a drop touches their skin, their suits immaculate, hair freshly done, but the skin old as black stone. Stop touching that center, girl. Preserve it, at least, till after dinner. The ballerina is dancing on her toes, little children born beneath her. Ma is her name. A summer dress caressed by the wind. The factory is still, the wheels all stop, the whole world holding its breath as she dances. And she dances. It's not easy when you're so old, but her tongue is red, as her skin is white or black. What does it matter? It's time for the wedding picture. A teenage bride sits alone in the faded grass on a slope by a highway. She would rather eat a bridge than a pina bausch colada apple, but who says you can't have both? They're only Polaroids after all. Like all those jasmines in India, when she drinks from her lover, her mouth is red. Please, you can hold my stick, the fool offers, even carry it. If you carry enough, you will be a tree, moving your roots in every step, your crown stretching upwards, waving in the breeze. Why can't I take off my clothes? Cries the fool. I can do it on stage. Why not on the page, on the sheet? I can always put it back on. If it's too small, I'll just shrink. But taste this milk. It's fresh like the tear in your eye. Ma, queen of the red dress has turned black. You know, if we clean her first, remove all the soft inside her, then stuff her carefully and stitch back together, we can make her into a doll and wind her up. She can dance with us. Think we should eat her? After 1,000 kisses, her dress turns pink as her youth returns. It's almost time-space to dance. On stage, she divides, splits in perfect parts, clones into a dozen others, all different versions of herself in beautiful pink dresses, naked shoulders dancing around the wet black boulders like so many cherries in a summer storm. What is this about, you ask? How should I know? I'm not a fortune teller. How can I tell you? I am just a fool on a tightrope, a blower with flour in my mouth, a cat without tongue, a shirt on a banker, a ghost without home, a droplet on a leaf, an early morning. I am a loop without ring, but my dress is white and my toes are strong. Thank you so much for having me here. I enjoyed very much. Hope to see you all again in real life without the screens between us.
Let's hear it for Claus Ankersen. Wow, that was incredible. Whew. Oh, such a good night so far, or good afternoon, however you want to look at it. So our next reader, you know, they've really supported the press. I mean, everyone here has, but they even trusted us to publish a book by them. So it is my honor to bring up Puma Perl.
Thank you. Thank you, Great Weather, and all the amazing readers and listeners. And so this is a short story that was selected for the first anthology, which I believe we had that release party at Manitoba right after he came out. And this is called Squeeze Play. We were sitting on my couch watching the final round of March Madness. My attention was divided between the game and my fantasies. I wished that he would start to kind of offhandedly play with my tits the way he might fiddle with a pen or doodle on a pad, touch them as if I wasn't even there, maybe twist a nipple now and again to emphasize a point. But he didn't know that he could do that, and it's not the sort of thing I wanted to teach anybody. I was still hoping to find someone who already knew. So we made some desultory conversation during the commercial breaks, because when someone's been at your house every night for weeks, watching basketball games, eating Italian takeout, and fucking you, eventually you have to have some sort of verbal interaction other than the obvious. Not that anything he had to say particularly interested me, but it was the time to have the discussion where you decided if you're going to keep it up or not. I guess that it was. I didn't especially like his personality, and had always thought he was sort of corny. But one day I'd grabbed a seat next to him in the lunchroom and suddenly noticed his thighs and what was between them. And I asked him when exactly he'd gotten so hot, because I honestly hadn't noticed him for the last 7 years or so. He came over the next night and kissed me on that same couch where we now sat, impressing me by immediately pulling up my bra and unzipping my pants. He also responded well to suggestions of owning my pussy and fucking me harder. So even though he tended to do things like play Christopher Cross and talk about the importance of people needing people without even knowing he was quoting Barbra Streisand, I found him kind of bearable. At some point, our conversation stopped so he could cheer ecstatically for North Carolina, his home state. Yeah, he was the type that took his birthplace very seriously, attending class reunions and sending suggestions and updates to the former class secretary who coordinated all of their fish fries and pancake breakfasts. And his scrapbooks did not prove me wrong about this. Oh yes, he had scrapbooks and pictures of the 7 kids he'd fathered by 5 women, and on his walls were the type of native art that you could find in strip malls displayed prominently through his apartment. I had been there once when he had cooked me a dinner of shrimp with the tails left on and had toasted me with plastic champagne glasses filled with sparkling grape soda. We couldn't stay there because he had an unemployed son and a disabled nephew living with him, both of whom required his help to survive. A mother in a nursing home, a second son in prison, and an ex-wife who apparently wanted him back so badly she was happy to play the role of designated best friend. Thankfully, the kids and the rest of the wives are back in the home state, probably all yelling at flat screen TVs and eating Cheetos. Finally, the game ended, and right before he pulled my pants off, I looked at him and told him that since he'd been coming over nightly, it was only fair for me to tell him what I wanted from him. He paused, looking panic-stricken, although his hands kept slipping my jeans down. And I looked him in the eye and I said, sex. That's what I want. That's all I want. Really good sex. Okay? He agreed, and I realized that he did not believe me. He was another man who was convinced that women always had an agenda that included roping them into some sort of domestic arrangement that would involve more light bulb changes and fewer blowjobs. And they never understood that I had bought a ladder so that I could change my own goddamn light bulbs and spend more time giving blowjobs. My girlfriends also didn't understand me. At least make him take you out to dinner, they would say. And this was beyond my comprehension. The idea of wasting time sitting across from him in a restaurant making stupid conversations seemed nonsensical. I had no desire to eat a formal dinner with him, and I didn't really care that much about his conversation. Now, as far as my girlfriends went, I was perfectly willing to have long, leisurely dinners with them, as they were funnier and we had more in common to talk about. if they would only stop worrying about what they considered my poor choices and my bad judgment. But even he, the potentially prime benefactor from what were considered to be my very warped values, seemed to think that I should want more. The next morning, he put on a weird maroon colored suit that he had brought along so he could go straight to work, and refused my offer of instant oatmeal, which was pretty much the height of my culinary efforts. Later that day, I received a message from him saying that his father had died and he had to go immediately to North Carolina, a task that included renting a vehicle large enough to hold his various family members. I didn't understand the urgency, since he had never even met his father until he was 31 and had only seen him 2 or 3 times in his life. It also turned out that the old man had 9 other kids he'd supported, although he never had given one dime to him. But like I said, he was a corny guy with a bunch of small-town values I would never grasp. I envisioned them all piling into the rented SUV. Him, the layabout son, the disabled nephew, the daughter, the twins, the loyal ex-wife, speeding down south to bury some stranger who probably never thought about any of them twice in his life. I didn't hear from him for a while, and I didn't see him about a week after he had returned. And I invited him over, and they said he'd be there at 7. At 8, he was still calling to say he'd be late, and I told him to just forget about it, which he seemed relieved to hear. I had bought 4 little red velvet cupcakes because his birthday had fallen somewhere in the middle of the entire mess, and I sat down and I ate every one of them. March Madness was over, and baseball season had begun in earnest, and I knew there had to be a Yankee fan out there somewhere who understood tits, sex, and squeeze plays. And sooner or later, he would turn up. Thank you, guys.
The one and only Puma Perl. Let's hear it. Our next reader has not only contributed to our anthologies as a writer, but one anthology, she served as our prose editor. Our great friend all the way from the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's Lynette Rainey-Grandell.
You pronounced it right. Oh, good.
Did I?
Yes.
Thank you, Lynette.
Okay, so first I'm going to read from the poem that was in It's Animal But Merciful, and that introduced me to this great group of people. I'm so happy this happened. And I'm so happy it's been girls. Radio girls want to fall asleep with someone singing in their ears. Radio girls all developed huge crushes on David Bowie, and some never got over it. Radio girls are nearly inconsolable. Radio girls would rather go blind than remove their earbuds. Radio girls say, "Dream crusher, what have you done for me lately?" Radio girls shout syllables rapidly into microphones, shocking their lips and channeling Patti Smith. Radio girls have dark circles under their eyes, but it might be from smeared mascara. Radio girls sit on the curb and scowl because they are too shy to start conversations. Radio girls need to get off their asses and finish that novel about the yellow brick road. Radio girls are on a road which is uncharted. Radio girls work with deliberate care to arrange the right soundtrack that will follow them everywhere. But radio girls do not have free hearts. They are leashed to their hearts. And when they see their hearts walking up the sidewalk, one of them turns sideways under the overhang and closes the door without looking back once. I'm going to read a couple more poems. Let's see. There it is. This is a poem called Approaching the Gate. Peel back the feathers, peel back the fur. The pale protective skin, peel that away too. Pull apart anything that covers, scrape away whatever doesn't fit. Let light stream in at the speed of blood. Slice past cornea, sclera, iris, retina. Anything to fell the green-leaved past and pave a roadway. Anything to get to the inside. Anything to plow this ground under. And let's see, here's another one. It's weird. I thought I had, I don't know, maybe I'll end with that one. Okay, that doesn't fit. Okay. All right, here's another poem from my second book. It's called I Am a Bear. I get inspired by my Finnish heritage a lot, so it got me exploring the whole bear human thing. I am a bear, a mudhead climbing out of the earth. I'm a bear whose lips whisper this sonnet. I'm a bear, an animal with a bone between its legs. I'm a bear, mesmerizing, with a well-trimmed beard and dark eyes. Come, look at my loosening robe and run your hands through my glistening fur. I am a bear, and I will tell you how Rapunzel became my mother. I'm a bear, and Vladimir Putin has nothing to do with me. I'm a bear. The wolves smell me coming. I'm a bear given to dreaming when love mutters its howl. I'm a bear, my pinkness sweetens with honey. I'm a bear, my tongue is salted with black ants. Okay, I think I have time for two more. Here's one. This is a pretty new poem. It's called In the Giant's Castle. How I have loved and feared being in this place, my darling. For you, I keep on lighting little fires. For you, I descend the sinews of this many-tendrilled root and wait for the music that tells me to climb back up its leafy rungs. That part of it must be for me, my hunger, that doorway in my chest, a massive weight swinging open wide. At daybreak, I begin to creep around the edges of the giant's kitchen. I find a cupboard door and begin to pull out the ingredients. A face mask, a pillow, a music stand, a heaping tablespoon of rhinestones, some birthday candles, a propane lighter, yeast. Now I light the burner under a stew pot of desires, add some sugar, stir it with the ladle mother used for soup. Will you smell the yeast rise, hear the stealthy bubbles bloat? You must be on your way. Even now, I feel a heavy thrill as you approach and tune my golden harp for you. Okay, I'm gonna read one more, and this is, whoops, they're falling, sorry, stuff on my lap. I'm on this precarious little computer table that I teach from. Okay. Here's another newish one, the last one. It doesn't have a title yet. I have lived inside so many creatures to pursue you and use so many selves. How did I become a flying skein of geese mounting smoky stratus clouds and welling with your name? 1,000 wings beat greedily against my spine. We are a murmuration, dark starlings, hundreds winding, folding our transparent veil in tumbling turns above the tawny harvest fields. The orchards now stand empty of their apples, but darling, let me light that feline fire. Flip me like a mouse you toy with, and be amazed at how I change for you. A gold-toothed grizzly rearing to the challenge, a gasp between the lightning bolt and sound. The curtains part, and Isis crests her golden throne. I've lost who is the cat who laps a silver saucer and who's reduced to liquid, disappearing, one of us, the hunger or the thirst. That's it. Thank you.
Lynette Rainey-Grandell. Thank you so much. Whew. Yes, and it has been 10 years. 10 years. And we have so many editors now, David, George, Lindsay, Mary. But there's always been one constant and one who always, like without them, like this press doesn't work. And that's Jane Almirad. So I just wanted to just say that. We should all acknowledge that. I hope I embarrassed her. Next, we have Joan Gelfand.
Okay, time to unmute. I'm going to start. Well, first, let me just say, poetry has never been so much fun as with great weather. We didn't care if anybody showed up for the readings. We had fun anyway. And so thank you for our readings here in San Francisco and our tours. And I have to say, I am buzzing with all of this brilliance. I'm really moved by everyone's work. So I'm going to start with this one on page 130, and it's called Bach Flower Remedies. I'm in the Whole Foods Natural Medicine You Can Cure Anything department when I find myself smack in front of a shelf of Bach flower remedies. Tiny bottles promise no less than magic. I imagine the tiny brown bottles manufactured by tiny elves dressed in tiny green organic cotton outfits, the herbs gathered by said tiny elves in outrageously beautiful fields somewhere in Northern California. I'm open. Flip chart number 1. Agrimony. The jovial, cheerful, humorous people who love peace and are distressed by argument or quarrel, to avoid which they will agree to give up much. Though generally they have troubles and are tormented and restless and worried in mind or body, they hide their cares behind their humor and jesting and are considered very good friends to know. They often take alcohol and drugs in excess to stimulate them and help themselves bear their trials with cheerfulness. It's okay if I take 2, right? Aspen. Vague, unknown fears for which there can be no given explanation, no reason. It is a terror that something awful is going to happen, even though it is unclear what exactly. These vague, inexplicable fears may haunt by night or day. Sufferers may often be afraid to tell their trouble to others. Oh my God, Bach's got my number. Nailed it. I'll take it. One more. I move left to right on the shelf. Chestnut bud. For those who take a longer time than others to learn the lessons of daily life, whereas one experience would be enough for some, such people find it necessary to have more, sometimes several, before the lesson is learned. Therefore, to their regret, they find themselves having to make the same error on different occasions when once would have been enough, or observation of others could have spared them even that one fault. I take all 3. I sneak one last peek. Elm. Those who are doing good work are following the calling of their life and who hope to do something of importance, and this often for the benefit of humanity. At times, there may be periods of depression when they feel that the task they have undertaken is too difficult and not within the power of a human being. Ahem. Does Bach intend us to treat all of these symptoms at once or serially? Is this a day-long process, a week, a year? Can I safely mix all the tiny bottles, the magic potions? I search for contraindications, FDA warnings, Surgeon General's treatise on herbs and avoiding magic elves while pregnant or in the presence of high blood pressure. What would happen if I mix all three? Would chestnut bud cancel out aspen? Would learning life lessons more quickly cancel out a comfort with a new confidence? I read one more, just one, impatience. There are those who are quick in thought and action and who wish all things to be done without hesitation or delay. When ill, they are anxious for a hasty recovery. They find it very difficult to be patient with people who are slow, as they consider it wrong and a waste of time, and they will endeavor to make such people quicker in all ways. They often prefer to work or think alone so that they can do everything at their own speed. There's a cure for that? I'm standing there juggling 5 tiny bottles. I'm worried. Agrimony, aspen, impatience, elm, chestnut bud, all to cure my aching, ailing soul. How to choose? I close my eyes, try to imagine a self-medication exercise. In one scenario, I'm leaving Whole Foods with an armload of tiny bottles and about $100 poorer. Once home, I become stressed about which one to take first. Will impatience cancel elm? I imagine myself taking all at once, a magic cocktail, if you will, hoping for instant cure from ambition, impatience, fear, anxiety, and terror. Outside, the day grows warmer. I need more time. Wait, that was aspen, right? Or was it agrimony? I'm re-reviewing the entire inventory when paralysis, familiar yet comforting, takes hold. No decision could be a good decision, right? Things have a way of working themselves out, don't they? And then, because our friend Lawrence Ferlinghetti passed away this week at the tender age of 101 years old, I'm going to read this poem for him. And as I said before, some folks came on. This is a poem that came to me in 3 dreams over the course of about a year. It's called The Ferlinghetti School of Poetics. All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. And that's by Edgar Allan Poe. 1, the dream within the dream within the dream. What is it, Ferlinghetti, taking star turns in my dreams, strolling in front of cars, haunting alleyways, stairways, bars, beating moth-like, flitting through San Francisco's sex-fraught avenues in North Beach, where XXX marks art and nasty commerce collide, intersect Columbus, Telegraph Hill, Jack Kerouac Way. You are fog whispering in from the sea on another sunny day. There's a breathless hush on the freeway tonight. Beyond the ledges of concrete, restaurants fall into dreams with candlelight couples. Lost Alexandria still burns. Ferlinghetti's words sink, weighted on the business end of an invisible fishing line, dredging last night's dream to the surface, gasping for air, shivering like some catfish, eyes bulging, wet lake water dripping off its scales. The knife of memory slices open that dream, finds me on haunted streets, instructing a small boy. God and completely cool. 2, Ferlinghetti makes an appearance. Phantom audience shouts, higher, higher. They egg the poets on. After all, they're not on the wire. Higher, we spin the memory wheel until there's my father strolling through his own Coney Island. And there he is again, winning a goldfish. The clerk hands it over, fish circling in plastic bag. Big Daddy pretends it's all for the kids. He needed to win like that fish needed water. 3, the poet reconsiders. Is the skill of life just keeping on, all the gears oiled, the doors open, even if the past keeps drowning and the knifed open dream fish still swims around? In dream theater, Ferlinghetti arrives. Was it the regal, the royal, the Metreon? I rise to make room for he who started everything, got the wheel of poetry turning, broke open language, letters, vaporized, while he drips, haunting my dreams.
That's Joan Gelfand. Let's hear it for Joan.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Now we finish today's reading with a writer who has grown up with great weather for media. I don't even know if he was legal the first time he appeared in one of our books. He was still wearing short pants, but his work is consistently challenging, uncategorizable, and his performance takes it into another stratosphere. So, folks, it's time for Billy Cancel. Come on, Billy.
Soft glitter cosmos needs a pig war. Soft glitter cosmos needs a pig war. Flaming speeds, good claret, reversible surfaces, cold ham, that stuff, 797 piles of junk, I renamed in temporal pink grey purgatory as non-entities juxtaposed, and sly unseen storage, bright flashes, unreachable things, turn the joint into a right fucking circus. Blade security clearance is no excuse to spread a carpet of fresh greenish sprig down amongst that green prattle acid blocker. Sustain release. First bridge across the bay. Welcome novelty, whitest grapes. I rename a template. Come down with brain fever, turn off function. Ruin love is found anew, rushing boiling red mud. Recursive sequence of government wagons. They meet me more than not. A waste of shame too thin to plough. Black cross holds, back red sun, over spark chamber. One after another, they all go from there to light chamber, and I attach a feast day. Celestial navigation for weirdos. Celestial navigation for weirdos. Yes, yes, integrates limited palette and don't have much time. Suitable to spare backdrop. If you see a spoon in a cup, don't make a joke. Whitewash a brilliant disregard. Absolute lack of community attachment. Incidentally, this is the point conventional Gothic trots in like a 1,000 horse charge, and it won't be worth a single radish. Copy flow break, then flick the Peter. It'll be all there in turquoise, purple, deep lilac. If you see sharks by day, play your radio all night. I'm nothing if not consistent. Dreamt of a grey pink cloth patched hill beneath a blue gauze sky and a single red spot with a nerve was damaged. If you would like an update on the status of your application at any time, please email ironhorse@alienlandscape.gov. CVS. Way, Federalsburg 21632. Not landscape with ruins, pastoral figures, trees, but second biggest retail pharmacy outlet in the whole damn state. Pink dot through white bars warns of messy commute. Traffic backed up junction 76 for the annual living people, their heads like bird show. When next we meet upon Kryptonite Drive, steel-lined shadows shall continually respond. So make sure you keep your egg in, morose spin busy. $1,800 rent check made payable to Cockroach Ambassador. Conversely, each flea has two big beautiful eyes, for it has gazed upon celestial vault in merge pool golden age, occasionally passing train deafening noise, once trod up some clubland overstayer, overwhelmed now with fucking kids, handout smokes more vigorous blame work, unprecedented bull market stretch means we still have one bleach scan of original left, so charge your lucky star. Escape from Cat Village. Escape from Cat Village, remote coastline, major urban centre. Don't care if it's because I have the audacity to display distinctive blue markings spread all over my face. Raw obligation stuff, totally in the wrong ocean. Overspilling pinks from aggressive sliding purple reds. Do you know what I am craving? Nothing. Quite in its usual functional spot. Even months into Cap Noon, crown of throat won't what irritation triggered. Blushing at Cake Central, no explicit game plan. Don't want to tempt bait. We're all in the same beat. Recall avocado, grass, emerald. I stuck bits of fern to it. I stuck bits of fern to it. I stuck bits of fern to it until crowd rose as one, chanted my zip code. You are fresh encased in silver foil, suggesting this is screaming uptown bright sloppy. But if fuck the dents our summer mask, it'll be hair in the butter. Either way, hair in the butter. Come out of the turbine, darling. Come out of the turbine, darling. Stomach a stitch. Break silver control. Got some bicarbonate soda for satellite wash. Outside is nowhere but warm colours. Snake, centipede, scorpion, lizard. Sometimes the road is full of wedding processions. Came home early, found you building a sundial to ensure we were both number crunching from the same code sheet. Erratic fast forward to some groundbreaking afternoon at idiot end of spectrum shuttle launch experience. Do they like to see objects clustered according to theme? Can he swell until he fills up the space between how to construct and full service resort? My name is Gross Fatigue. Don't know anyone on this schedule. If you blow a nice bubble, then blow a small jet of air harder. It better cause a small bubble to appear inside the big one. I think that's enough for everyone. Thank you.
The bubble inside the bubble. Billy Cancel. Wow. Whew. Just want to say thank you to all the readers who read. Thank you for trusting us with your work and for allowing us to grow with you. It's just been a pleasure. David.
Hey.